taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5, high buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5, high buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. We the ones they are. The ones they can't skip. Fighting for respect, it's a tough road ahead. But we pack that heart and we never dread. Late hits and big plays, we bring in the heat. Watch out for the G5, we can't be beat. From the MAC to the Sun Belt, we don't back down. In this football jungle, we wear the crown. All the doubt is sleeping, but we making noise. In the G5 hive, we the realest boys. When the clock's ticking down, we the ones to believe. One play, one chance, we gon' make them achieve. From the sidelines to the end zone, hear that roar. In the G5 hive, we always wanting more. We in the G5 hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. So raise your flags high, let them wave in the air. In the G5 hive, we the squad that's rare. With heart and grit, we rewriting the script. In the world of college football, we the ones they can't skip. Yeah.
Here's Navarro on the run. Navarro's going to keep it. Navarro for 6! Touchdown, Bobcat!
I feel I had a hard time staying in my own lane.
Oh my goodness! Red Murdoch! Pick 6! Harvath inside the 30 to 20. Blake Harvath will score! And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there. There's his man, Rucker. And nobody's going to catch him. Goodbye. Intercepted. Tyree Skipper. Touchdown.
Telly again, why not? A step forward and make it 2 for Telly.
Quarterback keeper showing off the speed. Steps on the gas. Untouched.
The G5 Hive. All G5 all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live, where we bring you all the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. Guys, last week we had our first episode to kick off the 2025 college football season. We covered our conference winners, dark horses, and of course our G5 representative for the 2025 playoffs. But this week will be the first week that we get to preview games. Week 0 is upon us, baby. Woo! If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, give us a follow, like, or retweet. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. I am Luke. I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. And tonight, we will cover the Hero Sports G5 Top 25 poll, our top 5. The biggest differences. What did we have too high? What did they have too high? We bring you up to speed on news around the G5. There was a lot of quarterbacks news getting started, being out there, and then injuries. And, of course, we set you guys up for success with our Week 0 previews. Justice, let's buckle up and dive right into things. And let's start with our Hero Sports G5 Top 25 poll.
Well, I think one thing we need to talk about before we get to the G5 Top 25 poll, our Worker Bee series, man, it's almost done. Utah State dropped today. We have one more team left to drop, and that is Kent State, and should be dropping here any day now. But we've basically wrapped up the series, year 2 of the Worker Bee series. It seemed like, a lot of folks loved it, a lot of the fans, a lot of supporters, the teams themselves, the players, all really, really loved the series. I know from my perspective, it seemed like it was bigger and better than a year ago. Our guests provided great insight that you can't get anywhere else, to cover all these teams. I'd say overall, we got the shout out on the Solid Verbal for those team previews. So I would say overall, it was an extremely successful second season of the Worker Bee series. It's going to be hard to kind of outdo that, I think, for year 3, but we're certainly up for giving it a try. For those that are tuning in for the first time and aren't really familiar, this is the second summer, fall, spring, whatever you want to call it, we've done a team preview for every single G5 team. This year, we included Washington State and Oregon State. So we had 68 G5 teams once we finished with Kent State that we will have completed. And it's just to kind of give all the listeners, more information, everything they need to know, very in-depth previews, deep dives, offense, defense, special teams, offensive line. We've talked punters, kickers, long snappers. We kind of do it all to kind of bring you the most comprehensive and in-depth team preview we can for all these G5 teams. And then in addition to that, I don't know, we probably did 20-ish player interviews, also available on our YouTube. So if you haven't really kind of had an opportunity to check the Worker Bee series out or the player interviews, we have playlists set up on our YouTube channel where you can find all that good information. So if you haven't, please check those out.
Good call. I mean, you said bigger and better. 68 teams. We had 66 last year, so we had Washington State and Oregon State. So you're right. It did feel bigger this year, at least by 2 teams. And how could I forget, I wanted to just deep dive right into things. We got Billy Tuesday. He's here, like always. He says, heard there's a rumor there's football in 5 days. Absolutely correct, Billy. Absolutely correct. I just wanted to get right into it. Justice, had to put the brakes on a little bit. And how can I forget the thing that's pretty much consumed both of our times and our lives for the last, 137 days. But who's counting? It's been great. It's been bigger than ever. Like you said, the shout out on the Solid Verbal. That I just feel like we just grew a whole bunch this year. So, I want to take this time, and I speak for you too, Justice. I'm going to say we appreciate all the love and the growth that we've seen from this series over the course of the year too. So we want to say thank you to everyone who consumed our content, and I hope you all continue to consume our content as the season rolls on. Justice, can we buckle up now?
One thing I wanted to add real quick. You said 100 last 137 days. there have been, once Kent State releases, it will be like 90 new pieces of content, whether it's a team preview, player interview, etc. A new video on our YouTube page in the last 137 days. That's a lot of content in a very, very short period of time. So, and to your point, a lot of work. My wife is not a fan.
Neither is mine.
Hopefully things will get more normal for us now that we're not doing so much content in such a short time frame. But I think we can kind of buckle up now. But before we get into the Hero Sports G5 Top 25 poll, I wanted to take a look at the AP top 25 poll, and look at the preseason AP top 25. So there's only one team in the G5 that is represented in the top 25, and I think everyone could kind of guess who that is. It's Boise State. Boise State comes in at number 25 in that Associated Press preseason poll. But there are several other teams that got receiving votes in the receiving votes category. So we run those down. We see Tulane come in next for the G5 at number 33 with 23 votes. After Tulane, you get UNLV coming in at number 35 with 21 votes. Toledo, number 36 with 13 votes. James Madison, number 38, 9 votes. Navy, number 42 with 5 votes. Liberty, also at number 42 with 5 votes. Army comes in at 47th with 2 votes. And rounding out the G5 is Louisiana, number 48 with 1 vote. I'd say the only thing that kind of really surprises me is that UNLV got so many votes. And technically they're the third ranked G5 team. I don't know. I guess it surprises me, given all the change at UNLV, new coaching staff, massive amount of turnover on the roster. But I feel like oftentimes these polls really kind of defer to what happened last year. And UNLV was one of the best teams in the G5 last year. So from that perspective, I guess it makes sense. But at least for my expectations or what I expect to happen in 2025, that one kind of sticks out to me. Anything stick out to you, Luke?
Not really. I mean, Army being up there at 47, even with 2 votes, is a little bit surprising just based off of what they lose. But like you said, it's a lot of last year's stuff. So, I mean, I guess you could say having Tulane on there because, we think Jake Ratliff is going to be the quarterback coming into the year, or at least start very, very soon. So Tulane being this high up there with the unknown at quarterback is interesting, but same thing can be said for UNLV and JMU and whatnot. So, like you said, it's more of a reflection of last year. It is what it is. It will get all messed up after week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little surprised. Not surprised, it doesn't shock me, but given the fact that it leans so heavily on years past, that Toledo, is as high as they are. I mean, I know they're one of our favorite teams in the MAC, but I guess it's impressive to see the general voters kind of feel that way as well. All right. Well, we will get to the main topic here, and that is the Hero Sports G5 Top 25 poll. We teased this last week when Colt Poole was on the show with us from Hero Sports. It was released. We had a show on Monday. This poll was released last Wednesday. We are one of the voters in this poll. What you see on the screen is the consensus poll. Like I said, we teased it a little bit last week. Colton mentioned, I believe there's, 2 voters
17.
Two voters from every conference at least, and then as well as some other national media that cover the G5. And I believe the 2 voters from each G5 conference are beat reporters for a specific team. So a pretty good, gathering of folks in the G5 that, are passionate about G5 and kind of know what's going on, so to speak. But for those listening in podcast form, I'll kind of run down those on YouTube. You can see the teams here on the screen. But the consensus poll for the Hero Sports G5 Top 25, of course, coming in at number 1 is Boise State. One thing I'd love to ask Colt is if that was unanimous. I would expect it would be, but the article didn't say that, and I forgot to ask Colton about that. Number 2, the Tulane Green Wave. Number 3, the Dukes of James Madison. Coming in at number 4, Memphis Tigers. Number 5, the Navy Midshipmen. Number 6, the UNLV Rebels. Number 7, the Toledo Rockets. 8, UTSA Roadrunners. 9, Liberty Flames. 10, the Black Knights of Army. 11, the South Florida Bulls. 12, San Jose State Spartans. 13, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. 14, the Texas State Bobcats. Number 15, the Ohio Bobcats. Number 16, Georgia Southern Eagles. 17, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. 18, the Buffalo Bulls. 19, the Miami Redhawks. 20, Fresno State Bulldogs. 21, the Connecticut Huskies. 22, the Colorado State Rams. 23, the South Alabama Jaguars. 24, the East Carolina Pirates. And rounding out the poll at number 25, the North Texas Mean Green. It's kind of interesting. We get 2 teams, 2 Bobcats and 2 Bulls in the preseason G5 top 25 poll.
Well, I want to first. We got Double O'Neill in the chat. You won't hear a peep from Josh Pate, Joe Klatt, or anybody else when it comes to talking the G5. Appreciate the love. No one else covers the G5 like we do. I'll say that's a little bit different. And Matthew, he says Boise State deserves to be in the top 25. Agree there. And then, of course, Billy. No ODU. We'll get to that in a little bit. Billy.
ODU is in our votes, Billy. Yeah, they were in the others receiving votes category. But, yeah, Luke's going to cover that in a second. For our votes that we submitted, our top 5 was Boise State at number 1, Navy Midshipmen at number 2, the Tulane Green Wave at number 3, the San Jose State Spartans at number 4, and the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers at number 5. So you can see right away we've got some differences between what we think the top 5 is versus what the consensus agreed to. What else do we have for differences there, Luke?
So I'll let you pick here, Justice. Do you want to start with what we were lower than consensus on or higher than consensus on?
I mean, I think I'd rather talk about the higher ones first, but
all right. So we'll talk about the higher ones. Obviously right there in the top 5, we have San Jose State at number 4, and here they're at number 12. I think you and I have both picked them to at least make the Mountain West championship game, and I think you picked them to win last week, right? Or is it just me?
I think we both. I mean, I can't remember what I said last week, but I'm pretty sure we both picked San Jose State to win the Mountain West. And we actually caught some flack over that.
Oh boy, did we ever
on YouTube? We caught a lot of flack over that on YouTube. Obviously, we're all people. We all have our own opinions. That's the joy of people being able to have free thought and have opinions. But I gotta tell you, if you look at that San Jose State Mountain West schedule, it doesn't get any easier. It's a pretty easy schedule for San Jose State, and they're a pretty talented team. I think I said last week that Coach Ken is gonna be a candidate for some P4 coaching vacancies next year. They return a lot on offense. They return, some key pieces on defense. I think they're. After I put my money where my mouth was, I'm pretty sure last week I said, "Hey, if you can bet San Jose State to make the Mountain West championship game, you should absolutely bet it." And we had someone in the comments say you can bet it. I think it was DraftKings, and I most certainly did. When we got done with the show, I went and put some money on San Jose State to make the championship game. That feels like looking at their schedule, that feels like such a safe bet to me.
No Boise, no UNLV, right? Prime. So I think we will see them rise up these rankings. If you want tomorrow's news today, just stop here at the G5 Hive. This was more of a flag plant for us. You've got a whole bunch of people here at the bottom in your top, 20 to 25. We put Central Michigan at number 25. They're receiving votes. They're not in this top 25. But they're just a team that I'm very intrigued about. And you got a dual OC. You got one from Grandview, NAIA in Des Moines, Iowa. You got another one that comes in from Eastern Washington. Yep. So they can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They've got all these difference of minds. And head coach from Army. So they've got a lot of opportunity here. And again, their schedule very easy for the MAC. They are probably going to be when October hits, November hits, October I think it is when MAC hits, and they start with no, it's November because it's like right around Halloween is when they play Western Michigan, and there's a good chance that they're undefeated in the MAC and they have a chance to make a MAC championship game. So we kind of wanted to put them in there because we see a path for them to rise up the rankings. If they do continue to win, it'll probably be a while before they actually make the consensus top 25.
That's probably the single most team. Like I'm just super excited to kind of see, or I'm intrigued, I guess maybe is a better word, intrigued to see what that offense looks like, because it's such a contrast between the three individuals and what they, what we've seen in the past, from a triple option to a pass happy team to, a more traditional smash mouth, running offense. And so I'm just kind of super intrigued to see what that offense is going to look like there for the Chippewas.
And Billy Tuesday says the top of the MAC seems strong. Well, let's keep that going. We have Ohio at number 7 in ours, number 15 in the consensus, and we have Miami of Ohio. We just call him Miami. We know the real Miami. We have him 12 versus a consensus of 19. So again, 2 other MAC teams that we're higher on than consensus. Honestly, if there is a G5 representative and it comes out of the MAC, I will not be surprised at all. I think the MAC is a conference that will be super tough this year, but not to the point where they like cannibalize each other like the Sun Belt, and you won't get a representative like that. I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and I don't think that the MAC gets the love from everybody else that I think they should, especially this year.
Well, and the one thing about the MAC, like that, you automatically think, oh, well, it's going to be tough for them, is they typically play some very, very tough out of conference schedules. And that's true. But that also gives them opportunity, right? We're not talking about week 1 tonight, but I'm pretty sure Ohio, for example, plays Rutgers week one, right? They go play Rutgers. They win that game. They get a win over the P4. And so, there's opportunities for them to show they can compete and beat P4 teams. They just have to do it. They'll have to do it in this regular season, and to be able to, kind of have that chance to represent. But to me, like we talked about last week, there's kind of 2 pathways, I feel like, for a G5 to the college football playoffs. One pathway is to kind of have an easy schedule and win all your games. The other pathway is you play a couple P4s, you beat those P4s, and you show that you belong. And you might have a loss or 2, but you've played tough competition, and you have a good record as well. Those are kind of like the 2 pathways, I feel like, and the MAC certainly generally kind of fits that second pathway where there's lots of opportunities for them to compete against the P4. They'll just have to win those games.
And then Billy was wondering where it was. Here it is. We have ODU at number 11, just on the outside of the top 10 looking in, while the voters have us, or have ODU is just receiving votes. This is obviously a team that we are pretty high on, and I guess I'll take the floor, Justice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super high on them. I think they make the Sun Belt championship game. I picked them to win the Sun Belt last week. I really feel like the Sun Belt East kind of boils down to Old Dominion and James Madison for me. And I think the East is stronger than the West, and so I'd go with the East. to win the Sun Belt. But yeah, I think I don't want to rehash everything I said last week, but Old Dominion, this is the most talented roster under head coach Ricky Ronnie, and they have depth. They got Colton Joseph, Quinn Hinnkel at quarterback, Markai James, Catravian Hargrove, Devin Roche at running back. The receivers is like a JUCO All-American list. They had it matter. I mean, if you looked at that JUCO All-American game, JUCO championship game last year between Hutchinson and Iowa Western, 6 of those players that played in that championship game are on Old Dominion's roster. But yeah, I mean, the receivers are tall too. Like, I think there's only one receiver that's under 6'1" or 6'2". So a lot of tall, talented receivers. Best linebacking group in the G5, like by far, probably a top 5 linebacking group in all of college football. They get back All-American Jason Henderson to it's a strong group without him. Getting him back just makes it that much stronger. And so, all these teams that we have that are higher than consensus, San Jose, Central Michigan, Ohio, Miami, Ohio, ODU, I feel good about them. Like, I don't have a problem being driving the train, so to speak, right? I have zero problem or heartburn driving the train for those teams and why they deserve to be in the G5 or in the G5 top 25 poll, I should say. And so I think, I don't know, like, I feel like because we do all these team previews, we have such a deep understanding of these teams that, like, it allows us to kind of do some projection, and we're not solely relying upon, hey, this is what we saw last year. And so, which is what you get a lot, especially in these preseason polls. It's really kind of what happened last year, what did we see last year, and that's kind of how folks, I think, tend to vote because that's what they know.
I agree. Now let's talk about our lower than consensus. Fresno State here is number 20. We did not have them ranked. I think that's going to be, you got EJ Warner coming in. Didn't look great at Rice. I mean, they're going to have to run the ball a lot. We'll see what that team looks like.
It's
UNLV.
New coaching staff, right? Whole new coaching staff at Fresno State. A lot of turnover on the roster. Smash Mouth running the ball and play good defense. I mean, I can see them being ranked by the end of the season. I'm just hesitant to say that today.
UNLV, they're at number 6. We had them at number 24. Made them barely cracking the top 25. Again, another team that we got a lot of flack for.
That's probably the one we got the most flack over, right?
Absolutely. It was UNLV. It's like, hey, you got a new staff. You got brought in. I mean, granted, it's a lot of talent. You brought in all these guys. Now, will they mesh together? I don't know. It's like it's throwing spaghetti at a wall. It might work. It might not.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the term I used last week was this. To me, it feels like the island of misfit toys. I'm a big Rudolph guy, so it's probably one of my favorites. But yeah, the island of misfit toys to me is kind of like a good description of UNLV. They bring in so many Power 4, highly transfers that were high recruits. And they came into college football and they came out of high school, and they had not panned out anywhere were in any of their previous stops. And so, like, I think you can say, like, today you can say, hey, it's a collection of some potential big talent, but the biggest question mark is, how is that talent going to gel? Are they going to be able to gel? Is there going to be too many, I don't know what the right word is, prima donnas, or too many egos, etc., and the team just doesn't, like, gel? I don't know. I like Dan Mullen as a head coach, but yeah, I don't know. I can't in good conscience put UNLV, in my top 10. And I can't pick them to win the Mountain West. I mean, again, you look at, those are the things we caught so much flack about, was picking San Jose State to win the Mountain West and not picking UNLV. But in good conscience, I just can't do that. Like, I will be happy to be wrong, but I will be sitting here today. I would be shocked if it's not Boise State and San Jose State in the Mountain West Championship game.
Next, we had Memphis. We had them at number 10. The voters had them at number 4. Kevin, thank you. Yes, San Jose Spartans could be a real sleeper team. They were my G5 representative. So Memphis, they're number 4. Again, I feel like this is more of a thing from last year than it is for this year. Brendan Lewis, we'll get into the news and notes a little bit later, but he gets named starting quarterback. Usually they bring in a transfer running back. That's kind of what they do. They develop their quarterbacks. They develop their wide receivers. They bring in a running back. They didn't do that. They brought in a quarterback. It just seems a little bit different. Again, they might piece it. They're similar to UNLV in where they're kind of like piecing it together with got a lot of different people in here. So that was probably our difference. Quick shout out, not in the chat, but I know he's watching. Kyle Hibbing, shout out, BVU baseball teammate. I know you're watching there somewhere. Okay, off to you, Justice.
We had Liberty at 18 in our poll versus number 9 here, and again, I think that's kind of people just kind of automatically put Liberty at top of Conference USA. Yep. We have Western Kentucky. That was, I guess, that's one thing I guess we didn't have in our higher than consensus, but we're definitely higher than consensus. We had them in our top 5. They were number 4 for us, and they're number 17 here. Whereas the consensus really likes Liberty much more than we do. We talked about Liberty ad nauseum last week. I don't know. I don't think from a pure talent standpoint they're as talented as they were a year ago. But I do think it's pretty clear to me Western Kentucky, Liberty are the cream of the crop in Conference USA. We just happen to prefer Western Kentucky over Liberty for this season.
And then I guess our other one is Louisiana. We do not have ranked, and they're number 13 in this one. Obviously, was it you say 49 in the AP voters, getting 1 vote. So a team, again, new quarterback, but also comes from LSU, Walker Howard. You got Shelton Sampson, also an LSU wide receiver comes in. So they, definitely have potential, but we're not as high on them this year as they were last.
Yeah, it's a team I'd rather take a wait and see approach, and see like how things kind of shake out, like you said, given the new quarterback.
All right, Justice. Well, why don't you hit our listeners with what the Swarm needs to know, our news and notes from around the league.
Well, before we get into some player news, just want to talk about some coaching news and some general news. So we saw Wyoming this past week has entered into an agreement with the Buffalo Bills aimed at increasing brand awareness and enhancing student recruitment efforts in Western New York. It includes a brand partnership that features Wyoming-themed marketing assets during Bills games. And then, obviously, they're going to do a lot to kind of promote and highlight that connection there with Josh Allen being from Wyoming, being the star quarterback there for the Buffalo Bills. One scheduling note I wanted to point out this past week, we got a series between 2 G5 teams. Central Michigan and Old Dominion announced a football series, I believe, that starts in 2027 between the two teams. So, love to see, some G5 on G5 action, some a good team in the Sun Belt versus a good team in the MAC. So that's coming here, I believe, in 2027. Nevada, some coaching news out of Nevada. Offensive line coach and run game coordinator Brian Armstrong is no longer with the program. There really wasn't any. I didn't see any reasoning why that was, but just kind of something to note for Nevada. This next bit of news is pretty big. I feel like I know some people like. I guess depends on what you like to do and what you like about college sports. Some people, especially coaches, I'm sure do not like this. But folks that bet on college sports, folks that play college fantasy football, will absolutely love this. We have 2 more G5s joining the MAC in terms of injury reports, availability reports, or whatever you want to call them. So Conference USA was announced this week that injury reports will be distributed 3 hours prior to kickoff. And then the other is the Sun Belt Conference. And that came out from Texas State head coach DJ Kinney in his weekly press conference this week. He said injuries are due Wednesday night, and they will be reported on Thursday. And then there'll be a second report that'll be distributed prior to kickoff on Saturdays. I don't know. I know for the Sun Belt, there's availability reports, injury reports, whatever you call them, are only for conference games. I do not know if that is true or not for Conference USA. I tend to think it probably is, but I don't know that for sure. I do know for certain that the Sun Belt availability reports are only available for Sun Belt conference games.
Now, the thing that I think is kind of humorous about this Sun Belt 2-step process, and these are due Wednesday, and these are due on the second wave right before kickoff. Because I don't think there's, and covering ODU, maybe you'll be able to help Justice. Like, is it an hour before, 2 hours, or is it just like, hey, here it is? Because it's like, maybe I'm a high profile player, maybe I'm a offensive lineman, whatever it happens to be. I'm a quarterback, and I'm not on the injury report Wednesday night that gets reported Thursday, even though maybe I am. Maybe I am feeling a little bit injured. But then, that second wave that comes out right before the game, it's like, I'm a questionable. Like, I just feel like that first one, like, what kind of, like, who's enforcing that? Like,
well,
I just feel like that one's going to be harder to do, and I feel like you could either just be like Bill Belichick at the Patriots and put everybody on there, or put everyone's going to be hurting. So I think that one's just kind of an interesting, thing that I think people will make a big deal out of. A mountain of a molehill is kind of what's end up going to happen from that one.
The SEC does it that way. I believe their first one comes out on Thursday, and then they have another one that comes out on Saturday. Most of the ones that come out on Saturdays or before game, generally speaking, it's between 2 hours and 90 minutes before game time. I haven't heard a specific time for the Sun Belt, but to your point, Luke, you remember like Bill Belichick would put, players like Tom Brady, for instance, on the injury report every single week. And then finally the NFL kind of cracked down on him and said, hey, like, I'm finding you. You can't be doing this. To the best of my knowledge, there's not a single conference in college football that does anything like that. So I'm surprised. And maybe they do have fines. I don't know. Certainly haven't heard about it. And so I'm actually surprised, with the ones we've had in the past, that we haven't seen a coach like play a game like that where their starting quarterback is on the injury report every single week.
Jammed his finger. He took a snap, jammed his finger. He's on the injury report.
I'm kind of shocked that we haven't seen games like that played on a consistent basis so far. Because again, like I said, to the best of my knowledge, there is no enforcement, there's no punishment. And so why would a coach not do that? So it'll be interesting to see with Conference USA and Sun Belt joining the fray if we see any of those kind of games played in either one of those conferences. But, I feel like ESPN's probably one of the big proponents of this, right? ESPN, a big player in college football. But what did ESPN do? Like, I feel like it was in the last 12 months. Like, they acquired somebody in the past 12 months. And that was a gambling company. And so it's now called, I think it was Barstool's gambling company, but now it's called ESPN Bets. And so ESPN now kind of has a vested interest in that side of things. It definitely wouldn't shock me to learn if ESPN's really the one kind of pushing all the college football conferences to kind of have availability reports, injury reports, if you will. All right, enough about the reports. Let's actually get into some injury reporting in terms of players that are going to miss parts of or the entire 2025 season. The first comes out of Coastal Carolina, where we learned recently that San Jose State transfer quarterback Emmett Brown will miss the 2025 season. That leaves the competition down to MJ Morris and Tad Hudson. I think in the official release from the school, there was 4 quarterbacks named. But I felt like, based on our talk, our Worker Bee series, it kind of seemed like it was really a 3-man race between Emmett Brown, MJ Morris, and Tad Hudson. So that just kind of leaves those two. I think most folks assume it's MJ Morris. To me, it kind of really depends on what offensive style they're trying to run, right? We talked about it during our Worker Bee series. Are they going to be, a more traditional Beck offense, or is it going to be the run and shoot? And the OC's name, please forgive me, it's escaping my head, but he's a disciple. He was on the coaching staff with Mike Leach, and so it kind of depends to me which offense they're going to run. I would think which quarterback kind of suits that offense more. So that's, pay attention. I'm sure we will hear something, I don't know, the next week or so, who won that quarterback competition. Moving on to another injury, Washington State linebacker Keith Brown will miss the 2025 season. They're going to use it as a medical red shirt, and he plans to return in 2026. Moving over to UTEP, they have a trio of injuries to report. The first is tight end Cass Cheeks. Looked like he has ankle in a cast. No word if there's any kind of surgery or not. No word on how long he will be out. The other two are kind of big blows. The first is linebacker, expected to kind of be a starter and a star linebacker for them, and that's Nate Diamond. He will miss the entire 2025 season. And that's a big blow for that UTEP Miners defense, because they were already kind of thin at linebacker. And so not having Nate out there, who's expected to be a starter and a key contributor, is certainly going to be a big blow. And then the other is a wide receiver who missed the majority of last season. Looks like he's still not ready, and that's Jaden Smith, expected to miss all of 2025. I don't expect that to be as big a blow, just because, they played all season or the majority of last season without him. But the Nate Diamond one will certainly be a big blow for the Miners defense. And then Tulsa. This is, in my opinion, this is probably, of all the injuries we're talking about tonight, this is probably the biggest loss in terms of, missing the entire season. And that's Tulsa linebacker Chris Thompson Jr. He's expected to miss at least 6 weeks with a broken ankle. That's a huge loss for them. Linebacker was a question mark. They felt good about Chris Thompson Jr. and Ray Coney, who's coming over from the FCS. But beyond that, it was a lot of questions. And now they're going to lose Chris Thompson Jr. for a minimum of 6 weeks. And that's going to be a big blow for that Tulsa defense. Speaking of big blows, this is not an injury related, but a suspension. And it's a pretty big blow too. And that's Utah State safety Ike Larson has been suspended for 6 weeks. Yeah, that news broke Friday. We recorded the Utah State worker bee episode on Thursday, so kind of not great timing. Ike Larson, all conference potential safety there for Utah State. Big blow for that defense. Not having him for the first 6 weeks, but hopefully whatever is going on with him that caused the suspension, he can kind of get that corrected, get back in the good graces of the coaching staff and Bronco Mendenhall there, and get back on the field and make an impact for the Aggies here in 2025.
And the key wording in there is I don't have their schedule up in front of me, but it's suspended 6 weeks. It doesn't say 6 games, just says 6 weeks. Now, does 6 weeks start week 0? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
It could start it this week, right? And so,
yeah,
he's in that case. In theory, he would only miss, I guess, 4 games, right? Because there's 2 weeks before the season, so he'd only miss 4 games potentially. But yeah.
I think that's an interesting wording. So something to keep our eyes on. It definitely doesn't say 4. It doesn't say 6 games, but it says 6 weeks.
All right. It's depth chart season, if you will. We've already seen some depth charts come out for Hawaii. There was not, when I looked at the Hawaii one for the Hawaii Stanford game, I didn't see anything that kind of like shocked me or stood out to me. I didn't think to check the other G5s that have week 0 to see if their depth charts are out, but I'm sure they are. But nonetheless, we're starting to get some news in terms of who wins battles in some of these tightly contested spots here in the G5. All the ones we're going to talk about right now or tonight are quarterbacks. Those seem to get the most press, and folks are retweeting and all over Twitter and shouting their praises and etc. But we'll start with San Diego State. And that's Jaden Denegal was named the starter over Burt Emanuel Jr. I think if you watched our Worker Bee series with JR and on San Diego State, I think this one shouldn't come as a surprise. I think
Ben Fletcher and JR.
Ben Fletcher and JR, they both pretty bluntly said, "Hey, we expect Jaden Denegal to be the starter, but there will be packages for Burt Emanuel Jr. He's too athletic, too dynamic to not have packages." And so, I think it played out just as they predicted, right? Denegal is going to be the starter, but there will be packages for Burt Emanuel Jr. to kind of get his athleticism on the field. The next is Memphis officially announced Brendan Lewis as their starting quarterback. I don't think that one comes as a surprise. He was in a battle with Arrington Maiden and 4-star recruit, true freshman Antoine A.J. Hill. Brendan Lewis brought in. He's a senior. Again, not shocked that he won that job. Kennesaw State announced that Dexter Williams II will be their starter. Again, that should not be a shock to anyone. If you watched our Kennesaw State episode, it is pretty clear that Dexter Williams was going to be the starting quarterback for the Owls here in 2025 and their run and hoot offense. So they look to air things out there at Kennesaw State here in 2025. This next one, a little bit of a surprise, and that's UMass. Brandon Rose was named the starter over Yale transfer Grant Jordan. And I think that one just comes a little bit of surprise just because in the spring, Grant Jordan played really well. Rose was not. I can't remember if Rose either wasn't there in the spring or he was still recovering from injury and didn't really participate. But nonetheless, like coming out of spring, Grant Jordan, the Yale transfer, was the favorite. So that one, I guess it's a mild surprise because Brandon Rose followed the OC over from Utah to UMass. So there's definitely some familiarity there. But I think folks were, thought that Grant Jordan might win that job just based on what we saw in the spring. Next, New Mexico, the Lobos. This one isn't a surprise in terms of, who won the job. I think the surprise is that, or maybe a mild surprise is, hey, he wasn't healthy in the spring. He's been practicing. He looks healthy here in the fall, and that's Jack Lane, who followed his head coach over from Idaho. He's been officially named the starting quarterback for the Lobos in 2025. Rice Owls, again, if you watched our Worker Bee series, this should come as no surprise. Matt Bartlett over the Roost said that, hey, he expects Chase Jenkins to kind of be the starter there for Rice Owls, given the change in offense and the athleticism that Chase Jenkins brings to the table. He's a dual threat quarterback, and that's going to, pay dividends there in that Rice triple option offense. And then today, the big one, the really, really big one, I think, that most people were buzzing about. It didn't go, I think, as the majority of folks expected. Both Luke and myself were very much on the train in terms of who won, who we thought would win the job, did win the job, and that is Drew Mestamaker. I believe our friend Eric Froton calls him Drew Moneymaker. I, again, being a Christmas guy and like some old, old Christmas movies, I call him Burgermeister Meisterburger. Drew Mestamaker was announced the starting quarterback for the North Texas Mean Green, and it's an incredible story. We've talked about it numerous times. Until the bowl game, he had not started a game at quarterback since his freshman year in high school, and that was with the junior varsity team. He was a walk-on at North Texas, a walk-on safety at that. Played well enough to become the backup a year ago, earned the right to start the bowl game there against Texas State in the first responder bowl, and he played lights out. I mean, he had like 400 yards passing, another 60 or 80 yards on the ground, 3 or 4 touchdowns. Played an amazing bowl game. North Texas brought in Reese Poffenbarger, formerly of Old Dominion, formerly of Albany, formerly of Miami, to kind of compete for that job. I think most fans or most people expected that he would win the job, but he didn't. And so Drew Mestamaker will lead that high-powered North Texas Mean Green offense. And then the last piece of news, just kind of keeping folks up to date on Temple. It has still not been decided, but Giovanni McCoy, the transfer from Oregon State, and Evan Simon split reps with the first team at practice today, Monday, August 18th. So maybe next week this time we will have an update for you in terms of if a starter has been named. And that's going to do it for news and notes for this week.
Before we get too far, I want to go back to the North Texas. I want to go back to Drew Mestamaker because I want to just talk about something in general with the G5 reporting. So, like you said, big news. Pete Thamel broke the news. You know what? I just don't get it. Like, Brett Vito does a great job covering North Texas sports. He's there all the time. Pete Thamel's not at North Texas. Why does he get to break the news and not the guys that are there all the time? I think it's a real. I don't know if we got to blur.
It's a disservice.
Like what are we doing? The guys there all the time. I know that the practice was not open to the media and this stuff, and then he's going to break this news. I think it's a bad taste, just in general. It's not just North Texas. It's all over the G5.
Everywhere.
It's like you got big news. It goes to to this source or that source. I'm just not a fan. G5, do better. That's it.
And I think the problem is, that it's not quote like the people. I mean, it's obviously someone in the school or something that's leaking the news, but I seriously doubt it's like the SID or the director of communications that's leaking that news. It's somebody else. I would like to think that if it was someone more official, they would certainly provide that to the guy that's busting his butt at practice, at media days, etc., and covering the team on a daily basis. That they would kind of give the nod to that guy. It's always, Pete Thamel's source he doesn't release a source, but I have no doubt it's always, quote, an anonymous source. And so it's somebody within the program. We don't really know who. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't know, maybe the programs should kind of get ahead of this. And in terms of like, hey, it's going to get leaked out at some point anyway. Like, let us control it by giving it to the guy that's, covering our team on a weekly basis, busting his butt out here at practice, all those sort of things versus giving it to Pete Thamel. But yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100,000%.
So that was my quick rant there. So let's get right on to our week 0 preview G5 games. We got Idaho State at UNLV, 4 p.m. Eastern. There's no line here. There's no set, but it's going to be UNLV, right? I mean, we're going to see Calandria probably start, would be my guess. I think we're going to see Alex Orji. I think the narrative that just comes out of this game is UNLV is going to look pretty good, and I think the main narrative will be who is QB1, because I think based off their opponent, they'll both do all right.
I wonder if we see them both, right? Like, I mean, given the opponent, like we see both Alex Orji and Anthony Calandria, and
yeah. So I think Calandria goes out first. I think Orji comes in. I think there's packages, but yeah, I think it might be a first half or second half type thing. But yeah, I think that'll be the thing that comes away from UNLV. I was
just gonna say, like, it's a good warm up, right? It'll be a good litmus test to see how this team is going to play, and maybe we adjust our expectations, right? Maybe when we submit our poll for week 1 or after week 1, we adjust, and maybe we will rank UNLV higher. Maybe other folks will rank them lower. It'll be a good litmus test to kind of see maybe in terms of what we should expect from UNLV here in 2025.
I fully expect all the people to come out of the woodshed and say, I told you, they're 1-0, told you so. I don't know why you have them so low. That's what it'll be. Let's get right into our G5 versus P4 matchups. We've got Fresno State at Kansas, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Kansas is a 12-point favorite with an over-under of 50.5. And then you got Stanford going to Hawaii. Hawaii is favored by 2.5 points, over under 52.5.
Is it Kansas or is it Kansas State? Do I have the graphic wrong?
It's definitely Kansas, because Kansas State is playing Iowa State in Germany. So
I had the graphic wrong. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I don't know why I put Kansas State on the graphic and not Kansas, but mistakes happen. We're all human.
So I think Kansas beats Fresno State. I think they probably win by more than 12. So I would pick Kansas to cover. But I think I would probably go under the 50.5, because I feel like Fresno State's going to try to run the ball. And I just don't know how Jalen Daniels' back is. Kind of once you have a back, I mean, we've seen it with Matthew Stafford in the NFL. Once you have a back problem, it doesn't really just get better. So once he starts taking some hits, I think I would take that under of 50.5. What about you, Justice?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. To your point, I think Fresno State. I think all Fresno State games are going to be low-scoring affairs, because that's kind of the game that they want to play in terms of control the ball, control the clock, run the ball, play solid defense. I don't think Kansas is going to feel the need to kind of show their hand here in week 0. So yeah, I think like if you ask me to pick a bet, definitely I'd take the under on the 15.5. It wouldn't shock me if Fresno State keeps it closer than the 12, just because I think, I think just the game script, the way they're both going to play would kind of lend itself to being a potentially close game. So yeah, I would agree with you. I'd take if I had to pick something, I'm going to take the under in the Fresno State Kansas game. But I'm really excited to see Bryson Donaldson. I think we both expect big things out of Bryson Donaldson this year. Kind of have a huge breakout season there for the Bulldogs. So kind of excited to see what he can do against the Jayhawks there in week 0.
And then we got Stanford going to Hawaii. Hawaii, that favorite by 2.5, over under 52.5. I think you take the points for Hawaii. I think they win by more than a field goal, because like it doesn't matter, like money line. It's like, I don't know. I think they're going to win by more than a field goal. Give me Hawaii at home. Stanford, one of the worst teams in the P4 in my opinion. Over under 52.5. I think I'm going to take the over, because I think Hawaii is going to light up that scoreboard. I also think Stanford can move the ball and score some points. I don't think it'll all be heavy lifting by Hawaii, but I'm expecting the Micah Alejado welcome college football fans to the Hawaii show, and you're going to want to stay up till, I don't know what time it is for you, Justice, but maybe 3 a.m. You're going to want to watch all of these games. Luckily we have an earlier time. I think it's at like 7 o'clock.
It starts at 7:30 p.m. So p.m. Eastern. Yeah, so it won't be too bad.
But it'll be
it's not
during the season.
Eastern.
Yeah, but during the season, you're going to want to watch. You're going to want to watch San Jose State. You're going to want to stay up to watch Hawaii. These are going to be electric games.
I agree with you. I think Stanford is probably the worst P14. Maybe you make an argument they're bottom 2, but they're bad. Ben Gulbertson, I believe, is their starting quarterback, and he's got to have a doctorate by now. I think this is his 6th, 7th, 8th year in college. He's never done much. He was at Oregon State for a long time. They have Andrew Luck, Frank Reich. I'm not. I don't expect this to be a great season for Stanford. Hawaii, though, on the other hand, I think you're gonna love to see that Hawaii run and shoot offense of years gone come back here under Timmy Chang and Mike Alejado. The receivers, man, like a plethora of receivers: Pofele Ashlock, Nick Cynical, Jackson Harris, Brandon White. Man, like if you told me at the end of the year that Hawaii's got 4 receivers with 600 yards, 700 yards or more, like it would not shock me at all. They could have a couple, 2 or 3 1,000-yard receivers. So yeah, I think we have professed our love for Micah Alejado and the Hawaii offense, run and shoot offense, numerous times on the show. On this one, I'd give me Hawaii and minus 2.5. I think they win by more than a field goal. The over-under scares me because I don't know how. I'm scared how many points Stanford can contribute to that over-under. Yeah. I am not. I'm not a big Ben Gulbertson fan. A matter of fact, it looks like since we wrote this show sheet, I don't know, 7 hours ago or so, the spread's already dropped from 52.5 to 51.5 on ESPN. So we're not the only ones that are nervous, I think, about Stanford's ability to kind of hold up their end of the bargain to get that over-under. But yeah, definitely agree. Give me Hawaii minus the 2.5 points. And then they're going to start us off, I think, with a big G5 versus P4 win.
Yeah, I think G5 goes 1-1. I think Kansas wins. I think Hawaii wins. Now let's get to the game that, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to say this, but this is the game of the week for the G5. Week 0, Conference USA matchup. Hate conference games week 1. Don't like it. Iowa State and Kansas State's doing it. Not a fan. But here we are. Sam Houston at Western Kentucky. Sam Houston. Honestly, this game sets the table for Conference USA.
Can be a big table setter, absolutely.
We think it's going to be Western Kentucky in the championship game against Liberty. But it could, if Sam Houston wins this game, it could very well be Sam Houston in that championship game, because obviously they'll have the tiebreaker over Western Kentucky. We think that Western Kentucky will have enough with Maverick MacIver, Matthew Henry, that offense. It does lose a lot of defense, but was it Western Kentucky that brought over the defensive coordinator from Sam Houston, or is that
no, North Texas?
That was North Texas. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of big losses also for Sam Houston. I just think there's a little bit more stability with Western Kentucky early on. Western Kentucky's favored by 10, over under 60.5. I don't think I'm betting like this game at all. Like I'm just gonna watch it because you've got Phil Longo's offense, North Carolina, Wisconsin. Now he's back to Sam Houston. I honestly think that Sam Houston this year is gonna run the ball a lot more than people think. I think people are excited for Phil Longo. He's gonna pass. I think they're gonna run the ball a lot. I do like Western Kentucky's defensive line, but again, there's a lot of new players on this defense that you just got to kind of wait and see and how they're going to play. 10 points is a lot for a conference game. I don't feel great about either of those numbers, so I'm just going to watch this one.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm going to bet, I'm gonna take Western Kentucky in the 10 points. Sam Houston, brand new coaching staff, tremendous amount of turnover on that defense. That defense does concern me for Sam Houston. You got Phil Longo there, Hunter Watson. I'm not sure Hunter Watson is like a great fit for what we've typically seen from a Phil Longo offense. And even a year ago, Sam Houston was kind of a control the ball, run the ball, play amazing defensive team. I don't see where the offense is going to be able to keep up with Western Kentucky. And I don't know that the defense has enough pieces to stop Western Kentucky on offense. So if I have to bet something, I'm taking Western Kentucky in the points. Maverick MacIver, Matthew Henry, KD Hutchinson, those are kind of the names to know for this Western Kentucky Hilltoppers offense. They bring over Maverick MacIver and the offensive coordinator, Rick, and I can't think of Rick Bowie from Western Kentucky. They both come over from Abilene Christian, where they, high flying, pass happy offense. OC quarterback reunited here at Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's always kind of been an up tempo team. Throw it around, and I think this is the year for Western Kentucky. It wouldn't shock me at the end of the season if Western Kentucky is not your representative for the G5 college football playoffs. I think from a pure record perspective, they are going to have one of the best records, if not the best record in all of G5. They don't play Liberty in the regular season, so the only chance they're going to play Liberty is in the championship game. Probably their two toughest games is they play Toledo from the MAC. If they can beat Toledo, then there's a real chance their only loss will come against SEC LSU. And so a one-loss team, I think there's a pathway for them to make it to the college football playoffs. So, it's a big reason why Western Kentucky is one of our favorites. Why we have them ranked so high, because we think at the end of the day they're going to have a really, really good record. And so I think Western Kentucky gets things started off right. Pedal to the floor, so to speak, and they don't let off the gas, and they just pour it on. Sam Houston here in week 0 to kind of start conference play and get themselves kind of set up to potentially be that representative in the G5 playoffs. So yeah, give me Western Kentucky and the 10 points. I don't think, if you look at the over-under, I don't think that Sam Houston is going to score enough points to be able to support that over-under, unless you think, it's going to be like 50-10 or 46-14 or something along those lines. I personally would not be comfortable betting that. I'd rather take Western Kentucky minus the 10 points.
I want to get this in here before we call it a night. Ad lib here. We got Gabe Marshall asks, what do y'all think about ULM this season? I don't know if they're going to have the season like they did last year. I think last year was a pretty great team. Zach Palmer-Smith is going to be a great asset. You got Deshaun Ford, who will be, I think, a guy coming up to be reckoned with in the coming years. But you look at their schedule, probably win against St. Francis, more than likely go into Alabama, probably lose. UTEP, the game is a little bit more winnable here, but I definitely think UTEP has a good chance to win that game. UTEP is a scary team. Then you have Arkansas State. I would expect Arkansas State to win that. Northwestern, that could be an upset game. I just don't love Northwestern. Coastal Carolina, I feel like you got to go play on that teal field. I think UL Monroe can win, but at that point, Coastal Carolina is going to be figuring out who they are at that point. But I don't hate that one. You got Troy, Southern Miss, Old Dominion, South Alabama, Texas State, and Louisiana. That's a tough stretch. You get Troy, Southern Miss, Old Dominion, South Alabama, Texas State, Louisiana, all tough games. I mean, it's going to probably be tough to win a game in that stretch. So not too high on ULM for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think for ULM to get where they want to go, they have to show some progression in that passing offense, right? Like, last year it was basically how many times can we hand Ahmad Hardy the ball and try and play solid defense, and that worked, right, for a big part of the year. But they kind of have to have some progression. They have to be better at passing the ball if they want to kind of get over that hump. I think the running game is going to be strong. I think the defense is going to be okay. For me, it really boils down, if they're going to take that next step and to get to bowl eligibility, the passing offense has to improve. And that's probably the biggest question mark for me. Like to Luke's point, yeah, I feel good about Zach Palmer-Smith, Deshaun Ford, Braylon McReynolds. They got a stable of really good running backs there. I'm a big fan of defensive end Billy Pullen. I think he's going to have a big year for the Warhawks, but Aiden Armenta, like for them to get where they want to be, Aiden Armenta is going to have to really show that he can, improve the passing offense for the Warhawks to kind of get to that 6 wins and to get to bowl eligibility. While we're talking about the Sun Belt, Timothy Ladiolas says the Sun Belt has 4 legitimate teams that can run the table: Louisiana, Old Dominion, James Madison, and South Alabama. I would also throw in the West, I would say Arkansas State and Texas State. I don't know if they're out of conferences, but I think Arkansas State and Texas State are 2 teams that can certainly win the Sun Belt West. So the Sun Belt, I think, once again, is, in my opinion, the strongest conference top to bottom in the G5. And it's going to be tough for any Sun Belt team to kind of, quote, run the table, so to speak. But if there's a Sun Belt team that does, they 100,000% deserve to be the college football playoff. We'll see if that happens for the Sun Belt here in 2025.
All right. Let me just jot this down here. All right. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If on X, give us a follow. And if you're listening to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We are so grateful for the immense amount of support we have received, and we sincerely thank each and every one of you. Be sure to join us next week as we discuss what happened in Week 0. We look forward to the full slate of G5 games for Week 1 of the 2025 season, and as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. But until then, we are the G5 Hive.